Hey everybody, welcome to the sixth and currently final episode of Let's Play the INNSMOUTH case. This has been a ride. This is an interesting concept for a game and I really enjoyed it. Overall, there are some problems with the game, specifically in translation in the written word, but it does really well conveying humor and darkness and all of that at once. It's a fairly good modern rendition of a Lovecraftian style story, and I have enjoyed it so far. I'll let everybody know via Discord and socials when we dive back into the game and when more content related to the game will be released. Thank you so much for viewing. Let's play. Welcome back, everybody. At the break, we had left the Gilman Hotel, and now we are wandering the streets of INNSMOUTH. Let's see how this goes, because the last time we did this, I got killed by ferrets, and the time before that, I got burned at the stake. So, you wander the streets. The dark clouds spread out from the sea like the claws that ominously reach for town. Reach for you. The sun has set and the temperature is dropping fast. The air too gets cooler, and a rough wind whips through the alleys. You're lost. You have no idea how to get out of this forsaken town. And as if that weren't bad enough, you also underestimated the September weather on the coast. And the real cold temperature is still yet to come. Scattered raindrops do not bode well. You aimlessly wander the streets. The narrow alleys are a labyrinth of simple wooden fishermen's huts. At least you're not completely on your own. Look at that. Even at this late hour, there are still groups of people out patrolling with torches and pitchforks and knives and nets. We're gonna stay in the shadows and avoid them. It's not necessarily the knives and nets that make you worried, it's the limp that many of the villagers have, which makes you nervous. The people don't walk, they waddle, stagger, stumble, and shuffle with their upper bodies lifted up like malicious trolls in a fantasy film. You found refuge behind some old barrels in a narrow side street. You would love to simply huddle up there, but in the middle of the alley, you're without protection against the rain. The pitchforked mob still hasn't noticed you. You wonder what to do next. We're gonna knock on a door and ask for help. Maybe not all the people here are cranky, cold-hearted hicks. Maybe someone will let you spend the night at their house if you just ask politely. Maybe pigs can fly. The opposite was never proven. Anyway, the idea of spending the night in the warmth and leaving INNSMOUTH early tomorrow morning fills you with new hope. Your hand glides over your wrinkled trench coat, which really needs to be ironed. You're a freelance, so you have enough experience with looking pitiable. You've got a good feeling about this. Since all wooden huts look similarly run down, you simply knock on the next best door in order to escape the rain. The pattern of the ever-increasing rain is the only thing you can hear. No steps, no metallic clicking of keys, and no good Samaritan to let you into their house at this dark hour. No one seems to be in. Try another door. There's another door just over there. Again, you try your luck and knock 3 times quickly. Again, no one lets you in. The difference is that this time you hear the rustling sound of curtains in the window next to the door. The curtain sways slightly back and forth until it comes to a rest. There was someone. and try to provoke a reaction. Leaning your arms against the wooden planks, you try to take a look inside, but it's too dark to see anything or anyone. This is exactly the kind of cowardly attitude that has led this town to poverty and ruin. You hiss at the curtains because somebody must be listening. Good deeds are what separates everyday heroes from common peasants. Good deeds like giving shelter to a poor private detectives on rainy nights. You can't be sure that the occupant of this house has heard even one word of what you just said. Still, you feel a little bit better now. A creaking sound behind you makes you freeze. The door. Right behind you, an old woman is peering out of the house in front of which you are shouting. She's cracked open the front and examines you through round spectacles. She reminds you of an insect. Her voice is rough. Sandpaper. What do you want? I need a place to stay for the night, you say honestly. She licks her lips. Was it you just ranting out there? She did hear you. Yeah, I guess that was me, he answered truthfully. It's a very urgent call. The woman looks you up and down, and you feel assessed and judged. Then there's a rattling cough. Judging by the raised corner of her mouth, she might even be laughing. Well, at least you're honest, kid. She opens the door a little wider and waves you in. Okay, come in. Gratefully, you step into the apartment. You try to make out the details about the inside of the dark old house. The candles are lined up on the shelves and small side tables. A lot of them are almost burned down. At least they keep you from running into the furniture. The old woman is probably blind, and that's why she doesn't need lighting in her own home. Only with a lot of effort, only with a lot of effort. See, this is what I'm talking about. Translation and usage issues. Only with a lot of effort can you make out the contours of narrow doors that line the walls of the room. Whoever is responsible for the design of this hut has obviously tried to squeeze as much possible into the very limited space. I have a guest bed available. You can have it if you help me with the gardening, sweetie. We're gonna agree. Sure, I can help in the garden. The woman is at least 100 years old. You assume the only thing she needs help with is picking some daisies from the grass. Claps her hands. Perfect. Let's get straight down to work, and afterwards, Ethel will make you hot tea. So the name's Ethel. The lively old woman immediately scurries through one of the narrow doors and hastily waves you to follow her. A smile creeps onto your face. You've got a good feeling about this. Try not to knock anything over. You make your way through the darkness. This place seems much less like house and more like an art installation. You walk through another room that doesn't even have any candles, but a faint source of light leads you further. As you cross the room, you almost trip over a bag lying on the floor. Must be the storage room where the old lady keeps her potato sacks. The bag makes a squeaky sound. We're gonna kick the potato sack in. You can't pass on the opportunity to take revenge on a defenseless object for your own clumsiness. After you go kick, the bag makes a strange sound. Oomph. Yeah, the harvest must have been really, really bad. You push the door open a little further and step into a small dilapidated veranda. It appears that every single one of the small houses on this residential area has its own back garden, which is shielded from neighbors by high wooden fences. Ethel's garden is well protected from any prying looks. It's also very small. Only a medium-sized paddling pool would have room here in the summer, but the old woman seems to have her own plans regarding the use of her small garden. Before you graced her with your presence, she was in the process of digging an elongated pit. Given the rain and the hard ground, this could not have been an easy task. She hasn't made a lot of progress. There's a shovel in the heap of earth that is piled next to the pit. A light brown bag with many stains lie on the other side of the pit in the damp grass. The pit would have to be dug a bit deeper for the bag to fit through. So, Ethel claps her hands. You freeze. You hadn't noticed her coming up next to you. This needs to be buried before it starts to stink. Your hand grabs the shaft of the shovel, but then something catches your attention. It's the linen bag. Its contents twist and turn with alarming regularity. What's in the bag? You ask. Even as you ask the question, you doubt whether you'll like the answer. Well, if you really want to know, sweetie. Ethel leans against a pillar of her porch. Your question seems to amuse her. A bunch of rabbit ferrets. They came and dug up almost half the garden. Most of them I shot to Kingdom Come. The old woman pretends to aim with a rifle. What? Must not have killed all of them right dead. The twitch from the linen cloth still has your full attention. It is regular, almost hypnotizing, just like a lava lamp. Chop, chop. You grab the shovel and you get ready to work on the small ditch that has already been dug. Chop, chop. Fast you dig the ominous pit for the suspicious bag, that soon you will be able to sleep, hopefully without ferret-filled nightmares. Toot, toot. Ethel does the gesture of a train. How nice. Pensioners with such a sunny disposition are rare. The earth is softer than you had anticipated. Instead of rock-hard ground, you dig up soft earth. And quite a few bones. And some dental braces. I guess you've had a lot of pets then? You ask carefully. Oh, no, I've never had pets. Ethel answers calmly as you unload the pile of bones next to the pit. Bit by bit, you dig a bit further, and soon you produce a huge pile of earth, which is full of bones. Ethel seems very pleased with your work. Before you know it, the woman is standing at your side, digging at your ribs with her elbow. Well, that was a piece of cake for a young person like you, wasn't it, sweetie? She claps her hands and leads to the bag, which is now writhing as if possessed by the devil. Go on, bag in. Bit of the dirt on top. The end. Skinny hand pats you on the back. I'll go put on the cap. Ethel returns to her house and leaves you alone with the dug ditch, the twitching linen bag, and many questions. Okay, so the last time we were here, I looked in the bag and I got attacked by rabbit ferrets. So we know she's telling the truth about that. So we're gonna just get down to business. Tea. Tea sounds good, especially after a day like today. The linen bag at your feet is still writhing back and forth as if possessed by the devil. After careful consideration, you decide to carefully roll it into the pit. Mindful not to touch the still writhing bag, you push it carefully into the excavated pit. It actually did feel as if quite a few small animals were frantically running around in the bag. Old Ethel was obviously telling the truth. Life is a happy song, and you shovel the heaped up soil back into the pit. You make it an effort to distribute the previously exposed bones in the soil with authentic regularity. You want to leave everything the way you found it. Then your work is done. The moment you ram the shovel into the ground, lightning strikes over INNSMOUTH, followed by a crashing roll of thunder. Better go inside. Inside the hut, you follow a trail of tea lights that get you back to the living room like a landing strip. Ethel comes out of a room that you hadn't even noticed before. Here's my little guest room. I hope you like it. The tea is nearly ready. After thanking Ethel for her hospitality, you disappear into the smart room to recover from the exertion of digging. Although the guest room is also lit by nothing but other than candles, it's cozier than the rest of the house. This is probably due to the light-colored wallpaper, which is covering the rotted wood. The evening is lovely. Delicious tea and cookies with Ethel in a warm bed. You're sleeping great. In the morning, Ethel has prepared a huge breakfast for you, and the first sunrise of the day bathed the house, which seemed so creepy last night in a soft light. It's crazy how perception can play such tricks on you. When you leave the house and wave goodbye, you realize something. It occurs to you that Ethel is an awful animal abuser. We're going to just keep waving. You just keep waving and try to suppress the memory of the dead ferrets. God, this town is the worst. It's Sunday morning with no shady patrols and frog-like creatures lurking in the shadows. Every now and then, you have thoughts like, nice place, or not so terrible, creep up on you. Sunshine helps, definitely. A front of gray clouds is already lurking in the horizon, but the bright morning hours ease the paranoia from last night. What also helps is the fact that not a soul is out and about. If you looked like the people from INNSMOUTH, you probably also only venture out at night. With these musings, you walk through the old town and back to the city center. It doesn't take you long until you stand in front of the bus that will take you and a handful of villagers back to Boston. It didn't go so badly. Boston, 13th of November. The first rays of sun caress your cheek. A good day indeed. Even the traffic right outside your bedroom is moderate today, at least for this early time of day. A smile sneaks on your face as you think about your trip to INNSMOUTH. A bunch of odd characters, no doubt, but that's just what folks are like. You already missed the sea breeze. Maybe another weekend trip to that little seaside town is in order soon. Living like high society on shoestring budget. Then you might also be able to try those fish delicacies you've been dreaming about. With a yawn, you bury your head back in your pillow. Just a few more minutes. Innocence. Cluelessly, you escape from INNSMOUTH. All in all, a nice weekend. Okay, so that was that. We're gonna restart the city entry chapter and see what we can get out of that. Finally, INNSMOUTH. You examine your surroundings while you stretch your legs, trying to unwind from the stressful journey. No artist could have adequately captured the serenity and beauty of this place. The clear blue sky lights up the town square, which is paved with bright limestone and surrounded by neo-colonial buildings reminiscent of 19th century New England. A fresh sea breeze, crying seagulls, and locals going about their business. In the center of the square, water trickles from a fountain. As you stretch your limbs and breathe in the clean air, you're suddenly startled by the water feature right in front of you. The fountain is an enormous fish-like brass creature. An open jaw lined with shark-like fangs sprout brackish water down its massive, inhumanly contorted body. As if that wasn't enough, there appears to be human bodies squirming underneath its massive claws. The faces are contorted as yours right now. How long have you been standing here? Eyes wide open in shock, you feel utterly paralyzed. You start to scan the town square and notice more and more disturbing details. In every corner, you spot ornamental statues and reliefs of fish. These are not your classical harmless kind of fish. These are pagan symbols and grimaces of supernatural creatures from the darkest crevices of the deep sea. In surrounding houses, you can see faces pressed against the windows. All the locals appear to be watching you. You suddenly start to think that the cries of the seagulls sound particularly human-like. They sound like humans crying out in pain. What happened to the idyllic scene from a few moments ago? Welcome to INNSMOUTH. Turn around. Welcome to INNSMOUTH. How nice of you to visit. A small elderly woman waves at you from afar. She beams at you as if you were her long-lost grandchild. She seems very different to the boards you've met so far on the bus into town. Her squealing shakes you out of your nightmarish panic. It's so good to have you here. I noticed you were taken by a local fountain. It was built in 1704 by Abdul Necrotis, favorite artist and friend of Charles Dexter Tillinghast, the founder of INNSMOUTH. The central figure was a present, and it was supposed to commemorate their travels together to Cairo. You can clearly see the Egyptian influence in Necrotis' work. Here and here. She points wildly in every direction, and here. But I'm sure you've noticed this yourself. You look like someone who knows his way around art, she says with a wide smile. You're still in shock. Who the hell are you?
Oh, I've not introduced myself? I'm ever so sorry.
In front of you now stands a small, plump person in a tasteless costume. Your rudeness doesn't seem to curb her enthusiasm the slightest.
My name is Muriel Pooping Place. I'm the director of the Parks Commission, Chief Tourism Officer, and head of the Welcoming Committee. Ta-da!
Pooping Place? Did an 11-year-old write this? That would explain so much, ladies and gentlemen. Pooping Place. That's the name we went with, guys, huh? I'm hoping that's a problem with, like, translation. I really hope. She got some big old saggy bitties, though. Behind Muriel, there was a ramshackle wooden information stand, lovingly decorated with balloons. A colorful painted sign reads, "Welcome to INNSMOUTH." Muriel tiptoes over to her information stand and picks up a whole load of flyers, leaflets from the rickety display cases. She looks down at all the paper in her arms and briefly shrieks with laughter.
My goodness, why don't you take the city map to begin with?
Useful. You take the map and put it in your coat pocket.
Would you like to find out more about our wonderful town, which has been awarded the East Coast Stunning Town Award for several years now?
And would you? Actually, I'm looking for someone.
Here I am.
The small plump woman starts giggling.
INNSMOUTH welcomes you warmly, so you're looking for someone. It's not that uncommon for two lonely hearts to find one another in this romantic place.
Mention the girl. You see, I'm looking for this girl.
It's always about a girl, isn't it?
Tabitha Mosh, 8 years old. Her mother asked me to take the case. You take out the photo, Muriel immediately rips it out of your hand.
Oh, what a cutie. I'm sorry to say I've not heard anything about missing girls. How awful. This sort of thing doesn't happen in INNSMOUTH. Perhaps you can have a look around the beach or the playground. There are a lot of kids around there. I'm sure that's where the little one will be.
The natural wide grin, she hands you back the photo and turns around quickly and makes your way to accost another tourist family. Get further to town along the cobbled road in the direction of the coast. Not long ago, the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels thicker and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down, you lean your briefcase against the wall and start pacing up and down the quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make right now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar, you can see the outlines of the old and ornate decorated buildings in the main town. Here you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course the town hall. As a coastal town, INNSMOUTH also has a harbor. From your research, you found out that this is the bustling area with a dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. According to your research, the only hotel in town, the Gilman Hotel, is located in Old Town. You think about checking in. You could do with some freshening up and getting rid of that bus smell that is still clinging to your clothes. Just as you're about to set off, your heart leaps in your throat. You've forgotten your briefcase. This has never happened to you before. You usually take good care of the little you possess. Now there's nothing you can do about this now. You'll have to wait until your return journey to find out whether someone has handed it in and lost and found. Still, you could swear that the briefcase was already gone when you got off the bus. You decide we're gonna go city center. INNSMOUTH Town Square, the beating heart of the city, a big attraction for local tourism. It is animated by groups of visitors who are chatting away in the sun. A lot less animated are the lethargic locals who are lurching about the square. A rather creepy looking fountain in the middle of the square. A gigantic fish-like stone statue stretches its claws toward the sky, with water flowing out of its menacing jaw. Water sprays into the air, providing a refreshing breeze to the tourists sitting around the edge of the fountain. Looking at it closely now, it all rather looks like a giant drooling fish monster. The square is surrounded by handsome old buildings, although the side streets reveal the truth. The true Innsmouth. Crumbling facades, just far enough away that the average tourist doesn't notice them immediately. You also notice that the mean grimaces of the gargoyles sternly looking down onto the visitors from the corners of their buildings. You take a mental note to block out the Innsmouth architecture in future. First glance, you see the town hall and a police station behind the fountain. There should be a few more public facilities nearby, but you don't notice anything right away. Let's go to town hall. Innsmouth Town Hall. Impressed by its grandeur, you whistle as you enter the lobby. You glean a sense of the former wealth and prosperity of the place. Or before, well, whatever it was that happened here. A red carpet runs across the white marble floor, while the green velvet curtains on the wall unsuccessfully try to hide some of the cracks in the massive wooden beams. Specks of dust dance in the rays of light, shining in through the row of grand windows. You look up to the ceiling and spot a massive candelabra hanging ominously above your head. It's exactly the kind of thing that would drop on the baddies in the fourth act of a caper movie. A series of ancient corridors go off to the sides and into the belly of the bureaucratic beast. There must be offices with sinister civil servants dotted all around this place. Here in the foyer, only every third of the few customers is actually manned, which is kind of, with this kind of morale among the people running the town, it's no wonder everything's a bit off. The clerks who are working seem to have placed bets on who can move the slowest. A very normal town hall indeed. Inspect the lobby. You keep looking around the lobby. It doesn't seem to go anywhere you can get a ticket for the queue. Truly, even one of those old rolls of paper would be too novel for this place. The patrons are simply sitting on the benches, and some higher power seems to let them know when it's their turn. Many people in Innsmouth simply don't get bored, but you're surprised that you can't see anyone among those waiting who has brought a book, magazine, or any type of technology to entertain themselves. No chats between parents, neighbors, or strangers. Only people waiting in silence. You feel a bit uncomfortable because you're gawking at people, but you can't help it. You want to catch them doing anything, even if it's just blinking. After a while, you give up. You have a case to solve, after all. It can't hurt to get a look behind the scenes of this place. You wander around the ancient and dimly lit corridors of the town hall. The slightly rotting floorboards make a squeaking sound with every step you take. Bored Innsmouth residents, from very old to not quite as old, sit on benches in front of barely lit offices. A lot of the offices are not actually staffed. You peek into an office in which doors have been left open or ajar. You're not sure whether these civil servants are merely on break or whether they simply melted into the carpet. A number of the offices are unoccupied. They look just as dingy as those actually used by the clerks, but the locals clearly seem to be able to recognize the difference as they walk unerringly into only the offices where there are actual clerks currently at work. You stick your head into one of the dimly lit rooms. A musty smell of old fish is in the air, mixed with decades-old dust. In the middle of the room is a desk with an attached drawer cabinet. It is surrounded by shelves on which far too many files were stacked. Some of them are scattered on the floor. Nobody seems to think it necessary to tidy up. The floorboards groan as you enter the office. Examine the desk. You wander around the desk and sit down in the uncomfortable office chair. Its upholstery seems to be filled with pointed springs, which are in the most impractical places. for the poor soul who actually has to work here. A thick layer of dust covers the table surface like a protective blanket. The wood is solid and firm, the kind of wood you'd always wanted for your own office. Financially, however, there is only enough for the paper mache and building foam versions. The first drawer contains lined notepads in varying sizes. They're yellow and fibrous, and you're tempted into stroking the top sheet with your hand in fascination. A few pencils and a ballpoint pen are scattered next to the sheets. You open one of the files. In the movies, it's often abandoned folders in which very important information can be found. Often they hold incriminating photos and handwritten notes like, "I bought drugs today from Russian child traffickers." All right. Just once you'd like to come across one of these files during your own investigations. Instead, today you find a record of fines for non-compliance with glass wool insulation regulations from 1978. Another folder seemed to contain a type of citizen's register from the same year. You see birth dates, weddings, and death dates noted. Relatively careless, you can scan the list for known names. You're about to put the folder away when you notice some strange things after all. The inhabitants of INNSMOUTH seem to be surprisingly sprightly. Comparing birth and death dates, they average ages 90 plus years, with some well above that. Life expectancy usually goes down in poor areas, and INNSMOUTH is definitely a poor town. You spot a euphemism wrote down near the date of death, which you haven't come across before. Went into the sea. Presumably, this has to do with the place being a fishing village where locals might disappear at sea. That's possible. The possibility of a missing person returning cannot be ruled out. Either that or INNSMOUTH has a mob problem that a lot of people sleep with, and that made a lot of people sleep with fishes. Maybe it means that lots of the fishermen in their 90s are falling off their boats. It is so strange that in many marriages the name of the spouse is not noted or known. Many John and Jane Does can be found in the records. You're wondering if this is illegal in some way. As far as you're aware, you can't get married anonymously outside of Vegas. Maybe INNSMOUTH has some sort of loophole. Soon you finish reading through the whole folder and have not come across any name that rings a bell. Well, except for that one guy who is the same name as your father. Even if it's the same birth date. Probably talk to your father about it sometime. You leave the office. A shiver goes down your spine. You may not be able to spot impending danger, but your gut feeling rarely lets you down. Clearly, it's time to go. Let's talk to one of the civil servants. And why not? The locals who have been motionless and all the chairs outside don't take notice of you. As you stepped in the room, all oxygen disappears from the air. It's suddenly like you'll never enter the ancient burial chamber of a decaying pyramid, but you imagine this comes close. It's noticeably darker in the office than in the corridor. A blind in the windows of the old building prevents any natural light from entering the room. In the yellowish glow of a desk lamp, you can see the outlines of the civil servant who's hiding out in there. A small, plump man whose fingers dig into the edge of the table. He was obviously not expecting visitors during his working hours. A thin film of sweat covers his forehead. It almost looks as if someone poured a pot of syrup over the poor chap. You're reminded of an animal documentary you watch in one of those fits of boundless boredom. There was this bug, or was it a toad? Fact is, the man reminds you of something small and slimy. At the front edge of his desk, there's a name plate that reads Mr. Wilson. "What do you want?" he hisses. You show him the Polaroid picture of Tabitha. Have you seen this girl? Her name's Tabitha Mosh. "No. Now get out of here. You can't just come in here without an appointment." Lump is forming on your neck. The officer didn't even look at the photo. Pupils didn't move an inch, they're still fixed on you. When you said appointment, it's breathy, almost sensual, but maybe you're just imagining things. Okay, I'm going. You growl back with as much confidence as you can muster, given the circumstances. You've wasted a lot of time here. Your way out of the office leads you past the still unmoving body, which is curled up on the waiting bench. You wonder how long it will be till someone takes care of the poor soul. Go directly to the mayor. You can't just sit around and wait. You walk through a few of the dark corridors till you come by a massive door with shiny oak wood panels. It's bigger than any of the other doors, so this must be the right place to come. You walk into the room and lift your head to shield your eyes from the light. A bright and clean office, just as if you stepped into another dimension. A man in a fitted suit and lots of gel in his hair looks up and gives you a formal smile. Come in. How may I help you? Next to him, on a smaller gray desk, sits a hunched figure in a cowl. Must be his assistant. The man rushes to you. Yeah, hello? Hello. The assistant now gets up to you and walks behind the mayor to follow your conversation better. I judge from your colorful clothes judging from your colorful clothes, I can already tell that you're not from here. He points at your trench coat. I'm Mayor Von Pond. Welcome to our beautiful town. What? I hope you're enjoying your visit. Shit. Oh, don't say anything. I know exactly what you're thinking. You heard about our idyllic little seaside town and have come here to experience it for yourself. Maybe you've even chatted with a few of the locals here. Just an innocent chat, as you do when you visit a new place. You talk and notice more and more. The people here are different. They're quieter. I would call it humble even. Start to feel dizzy. How long is this guy going to talk without taking a pause for breath? You gotta understand though, the courageous people in this town are honest. Fishermen, weather-beaten farmers of the sea, the oldest trade in the world. They're not so well versed in marketing. So I'll be the first to admit here, at times they can definitely appear odd from the outside of town. Are you aware that a lot of your people have gone missing in your town? The advisor whispers something. We can't be 100% sure what happened to these people. Maybe some of these people are here and simple missing some of their old friends, but they haven't seen in a while. I myself, for example, really miss the tiger who used to appear in those cornflake ads. That tiger still exists. Oh, really? Oh man, I wish I had proper TV reception here. Did you know that little girl has gone missing? Oh, that's terrible. I hope she's found. You should identify the authorities. The mother got in touch with me. She came into my P office and hired me to find the girl. The advisor tugs out Von Pond's suit and whispers something. I've just heard that I should not get involved in such precarious matters if you want to keep having a career. Oof, I'm getting tired, guys. Asking for help. It's about a child, for God's sakes. Have you no decency? The eyes of the stiffly smiling mayor wandered briefly into his secretary, who fully takes out a tiny pipe. He blows into it deeply once, and there's no sound. Damn it. Are they going to let a pack of dogs loose? Worse than that, two men enter the room, the security by the looks of it. The fingers of the two are already caressing their batons without being informed about the situation. They came straight in at you with bored faces. Sounds familiar. Follow us. Alright, we'll just follow them. Do your hands up in the air in exaggerated gesture and follow the security personnel at the office. Two don't even look around at you, and they simply continue in a pretty point chat. Jesus, even the town hall security guards are walking sleeping pills. All of you wander through the corridors. We're gonna keep following them for now. Strictly Strictly speaking, these people represent the law, and you do not want to make an enemy of the law. Without causing them any trouble, you follow the guards who lead you back to the entrance of the town hall. One of the guards opens a heavy door with a strained sigh, and the other puts his hand on your shoulder. I tell you this just once. Stay away from the man. He's a busy man. The man at the door makes a sound that probably counts for laughter in his world. To you, it sounded like a fish choking on land. Before you can say anything, they push you rushly over the threshold of the door. You stagger into the square in front of the town hall. At the last moment, you manage to catch your balance. At least you're spared a rough landing on the pavement. Ooh. I'm starting to lose focus, everybody. INNSMOUTH Town Hall was a large street experience. You decided to avoid all other town facilities in order to not waste any more precious time. Following the inner voice, you march towards the little alleyways.
Hey everybody, Toddfather6 here signing off. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you want to see more, click the videos that are listed or hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications in order to be notified when I've got more posted. Until then, as always, be good, be kind, be safe. See you next time.